Hello everybody, great to be with you again. We're going to dive straight into Mark's Gospel, picking up from where Hannah left off yesterday in chapter 2. The passage is 15 to 17, but I'm just going to read verse 15 today. It says this: While Jesus was having dinner at Levi's house, many tax collectors and sinners were eating with him and his disciples, for there were many who followed him. And so Jesus is now at the house of Levi, and they're having food there, and he's gathered with many other tax collectors and sinners. And so we've got two groups there. We've got tax collectors and we've got sinners. Now, as Hannah alluded to yesterday, tax collectors were not very popular in that culture at the time. And that's because tax collectors, essentially, they were Jewish people, and they gathered up the taxes of the Jewish people and they gave it to Caesar, to the Romans. So the Romans are occupying the land that the Jews currently live in, and they are oppressing the Jewish people. And so from where the Jews stand in this is that they see tax collectors kind of gathering up their money, handing it over to their oppressors, and then also siphoning off a bit on the side for themselves. And so they would have very much seen tax collectors as traitors, or maybe as villains. And then we've got the other group of people. We've got the sinners, the ones who are kind of seen as unworthy, seen as kind of lesser than everyone else because of their unrighteousness. And the Pharisees and the teachers of the law would have gladly exalted themselves and praised their own righteousness and looked down upon the sinners. And I think just as in that culture, we've kind of got those two groups of people. We've kind of got those the sinners who are kind of looked down upon for being low and unworthy. And we've also got the villains who are hated by that society. Now, I think in our culture we've got two similar groups of people, but two kind of different ways in how that plays itself out. And so I just want to encourage us to now just kind of look at these two groups of people and just leave us with an encouragement and a challenge as to how we serve these two groups of people. So firstly, the villains, and I think the villains of the cultures today are often people like business leaders who, when times are hard at the moment and they have got very difficult decisions to make and have been putting staff on furlough and making people redundant, and maybe that's you. Maybe you're sitting here today and that's happened to you. And right now you're looking at your business leaders and you're considering them villains and thinking, how could they, whilst they're on their big salary, make me redundant or put me on furlough? Maybe it's the Premier League footballers or very well paid people at the top who are refusing to be put on furlough, or refusing to take any sort of pay cut, even though their annual salary or even weekly salary in Premier League footballers' cases is more than my annual salary. They earn more in a week than I do in a year, and yet some of them are refusing to take a pay cut. And they mark themselves out as villains. They're the people who our culture just absolutely lay into. And I say, how could they? They are the villains of our age. But what do we see Jesus doing, folks? We see Jesus going to their houses, gathering them in, inviting them round the table and eating with them. Folks, we've got to be inviting these people into our lives. And you may not know any kind of business leaders or Premier League footballers. I mean, I certainly don't. But what I can do is I can pray. I can pray for them. And that is powerful. And Jesus does say, love your enemies. You pray for those who persecute you. Now, you may not feel like you're being persecuted particularly, but you may just picture these kinds of people as the villains in our culture and our society. I just want to encourage you, rather than just kind of just grovelling about it and being moaning about that, then just give that to God in prayer. Pray for these people, bless them, and that is my encouragement to you. And the other group of people are the sinners, the ones who are kind of overlooked and considered unworthy. And actually, I think the challenge here is quite the opposite. Actually, I think our culture is really good at giving these people dignity. People who are often overlooked in our society, or could be, maybe the NHS carers and the staff workers. Maybe it's the TA in the school, or the person who's taken up an extra shift at Tesco. But actually, our culture is very good at exalting these people and giving them dignity and lifting them up. And the challenge really here is that actually, as the church, are we measuring up to the standard that culture is setting? Are we going as far as culture or even beyond? That's the challenge. I look around and sometimes some people are doing more than I am to honour these people and lift them up. And I saw that Becky Aston in our community group this week just shared a post from Charnwood Borough Council advertising this drawing that you can print off and colour in and stick to your bins that will just really kind of bless the refuse collectors. That's the sort of stuff that I want to be doing to show my appreciation for those who might be considered to have unworthy jobs. I want to show dignity and honour, and I want to be at least matching the honour that our culture is giving these people and going above and beyond to show my appreciation for them. So that is my challenge for us today. Let's pray. Father God, I just really thank you that you are the God who welcomes in sinners and tax collectors. You're the God who sits down and eats with villains and those who are overlooked in our society. Jesus, I pray you just help us to play our part in sharing your love with these people by the power of your Holy Spirit. Amen.